Pick a card. Any card. Oh, looks like you're going last. Today, my friends, we continue our solo DragonBane adventure. Today is episode 4. Roll up your sleeves, because I think today we're doing an encounter. Let's break it down. Well, hi, hello, everybody. My name is Turk. Welcome back to the Grouch Couch. Around here, we do all different kinds of weird TTRPG things. But if you clicked on this video, you already knew that, because today is episode 4 of our DragonBane series. I've been having a lot of fun with DragonBane. Really been enjoying all of your guys' feedback and comments and suggestions. This has been a good time. Moving on here with Willie the Wizard and his paramour Paramon, which I'm going to keep saying because I just feel like that's hilarious. Now, we have all different kinds of systems and things that we're adding into our game. So, for some reason, if you clicked on episode 4 for the first time, do yourselves a favor and go back to episode 1. That's right. Today, I do not think we're adding in anything extra to our game, any other kinds of supplements or anything like that. But remember, if you do see me use anything, even from previous episodes or whatever, remember to use our links down in the description to pick these things up for yourself, because it does help support the show. It allows me to continue getting more stuff to be able to showcase and have fun with on the channel and just check out and make more videos about. So I really appreciate you for doing that, supporting the show. A little bit more YouTube jibber jabber. This is episode 4 here today. On all of my solo actual play adventures, I usually always start off by doing 5 episodes. And then if I'm feeling inspired, or if you guys hit me with enough feedback, I always return and do 3 to 5 more. I don't know with this series we're going to stop at 5 because I am having a lot of fun. So we might do more than that. But if you are watching this video way in the future, make sure to leave a like right here, because it does let me know that you want to see more. Appreciate that. So our last episode was a little bit of a shorter one. It was more of a narrative one. There wasn't much for scenes or encounters. But today we're going to get into some extra fun stuff. But before we can, we're going to have to hop over to our YouTube comment section, because a lot of you guys left some really fun world building suggestions and ideas and comments. So we're going to go ahead and get into this. But before we do, remember, you watching, if you haven't left an idea or a comment or a suggestion before, go on ahead and feel free to do so. It's all open arms around here. I love suggestion. I always try to consider my actual play long series as collaborative storytelling. I like to take ideas and thoughts from you guys. So please make sure to leave something down there, and I'll do my best to include it in the show. Even if you think it doesn't make sense to fit in, you never know. So last week, the big suggestion was, my friends, giant eagle or giant badger. That was the suggestion. And no one responded to my pinned comment. I'm sad about it. But everyone left their own comments, which we're totally cool with. And I think we got like 3 or 4 votes for badger, and we didn't get any for giant eagle. So badger's going to win, which we're going to talk a little bit more about the badger once we get into things. Definitely the badger. They're tougher than you think. Absolutely. The badger can also have a distraction problem, which could be a random event thing we could remember. But one thing I have to do is there are a couple of name suggestions. So I actually need to write down these names, because we're going to roll to see which one wins. And the first one was from Onion Kid and said Roger. And then from Caius, gosh, I suck at usernames pronouncing them, which, by the way, just joined the Discord recently. Hello, friend, welcome. So have you seen the honey badger? He doesn't give a flying rat's petunia. In fact, call him Petunia. So that's our other name. So I got Roger and Petunia here on the piece of paper. What we're going to do is Roger is going to be 1 through 3, and Petunia is going to be 4 through 6. And that's going to be the name of our badger. That's a 5. Our badger's name is Petunia. It's a going on a limb here, and I'm going to say that it's a super tough, like, queen badger. You know what I mean? Like, she has seen some stuff, and I love the idea of it being like a female, just tough as nails badger. So Petunia it is. Now, I think a lot of you guys were struggling as much as I was whenever it came to the horse gang, using the word lonely and ooze. Last episode, I gave you guys 2 descriptor words to try and figure out the name of this horser gang, which, by the way, I still think is a fantastic idea, and a lot of you guys seem to write be on it as well. You were like, heck yeah, sounds great. So we've got a bunch of name choices anyways. I'm gonna say, Jeff said, if the leader's a dwarf, then it should be a pony club, right? Pink Pony Club. All right, I hope that got stuck in your head. Moving on, because it got stuck in my head when I read that. Groggenritters, which I really like. Groggenritters. I don't know how much connection it has. Ooze. In quotations here. We don't know how much connection it has to the descriptor words, but it's super fantasy to me. Like, it's like just something they would call themselves. Struggling to get lonely and who's into horse club. Best I got was Bear and Stallions. The Bear and Stallions escape, and glue sticks are pretty good. We actually did a bunch on our group actual play. We had like a whole horse gang that had glue in their name. It was like Elmer something. Mired Outcast is also really good. I think it's really good. But I think a lot of us were struggling with that, and I think Groggenritters is just fun. Again, I'm imagining the back of their vests. It's gonna say like Groggenritters, and it'll have like a horse made of slime name, you know, like etched into the vest. And then at the bottom, it'll say Polgora, because like that's where they're from. So I think that's what we're going to go with. Grogenritters, just because it's fun. Now, that's all of our homework out of the way. We got the name of our gang, we got what's pulling our stuff, and the fun thing about this gang is that it might show up later in the future, right? If something happens, usually I take notes out of Mythic, so for you guys some more little tips here, and what I'll do is write down all of my important NPCs or important factions, and then it turns into a roll chart that I can roll on later. Think like, are these guys involved? And then I can roll on this roll chart. So one thing we could do is we can add the empty goblet faction, you know, the cult, and we can add in the Grogenritters. We can also add in, you know, Paramon's family, and then also the rebel faction we're actually going to see today, the Pegasi, you know, remember what they were called. So we can add in these factions to our roll chart, and then we can roll on them later, right? Yes. But that's all of our homework, so we're going to move on to gameplay. We're going to start building out a scene. We're going to be using our encounter deck today, so should be pretty dang exciting. We've got our encounter deck right here. Yes, this is pretty exciting. So we're going to teach a little bit about how to use this. I get to use it for the first time. I'm kind of excited about this because I want to make a full video covering these cards, but I like to use things before I just jump in and you know, start explaining what they are when I haven't even tested them myself. So this is going to be fun to actually test them on camera. So heck yeah, encounter deck. All right. Alrighty, so I've actually built out Petunia. I put her character sheet on here. I'm actually going to have to, once I get to my computer, my laptop later, I'm going to actually have to, you know, put all her details and stuff in there. But basically, she's going to have like the same stats as a bear. I feel like that was pretty okay. And bears, if you look here in the handy dandy DragonBane book, we can actually see we have some common animals here. So I'm going to go with bear, HP of 20, movement of 12. They've got the bite skill, awareness 10, evade 8. Should be pretty decent to go with. And if not, I might adjust it a little bit more. Also, just so all you guys know, I did all the leveling up of our characters. I have been every episode, because in the experience in here, you ask a couple questions like, did we participate? Did we do this? Did we do that? And if you could say yes to those answers, you can actually mark on the skill. You get like a skill mark, and then you roll on that skill. And if you get higher than your current skill, you increase it by 1. There hasn't been any like important things. Hasn't been anything crazy. I think only Willie the Wizard's animism went up to 13. Sweet. But Paramon got like another one in knives and another one in persuasion. And that's kind of so duly noted, because we also have Paramon's character sheet in here. Now, the next thing to talk about is Paramon had 100 gold and Willie had 4. And they're gearing up to go out on this adventure. And what I'm going to say is that they're going to spend pretty much all their money. They're going to get this nice carriage that I've got it written down over here so I don't forget. Hey, look at me, all the faction names. So the Grogenritters gave them at a discount. They got the nice carriage, and then they also bought the giant badger. But additionally, I'm going to say they went shop to shop a little bit, and they spent the last of their gold to prepare for this adventure, filling up the cart. And what I'm actually going to do, I'm just going to write it down for now. I'll find a better place for it later. Maybe I'll put it on like an index card or something that we can actually like adjust. But I'm going to take a note. I'm going to take a note out of the Iron Sworn system. Basically, the way that this works, you don't have to keep track of every single thing you have in your inventory, although that is a little bit of fun. But I want to say that the cart itself, if we're next to the cart, it has things in it. So if we lose the cart, that's a different story. It's whatever we actually have on us, right? But if we're next to the cart, we can make an inventory check. And since we spent 100 gold, I'm going to say that our current inventory stat, or supply stat is what I'm actually going to call it, is 14. So if we might have some extra rations, we might have, you know, sleeping beds, things to build a fire, whatever we might need. If something comes up and we're like, oh dang, do we have that? We can actually roll on our supply stat. And if we get under it, then we have it, right? But every time we use our supply stat, it's going to go down by 1. So the card itself now has its own stat of supply. We're going to write down 14. And I just think that's a fun way to do that. You can do things however you want, but I'm going to assume, and I'm also going to go out on a limb here and say that they spend literally all of their gold. Everything that they have, they get the badger, they get everything that they might need for an adventure, and they load it all up on this card. Magical items and things, none yet. We're not going to be doing that. I think magical items are going to come from adventuring a little bit, I think, is where those are going to come from. You know, delving down into dungeons and stuff like that, which probably, if we would have succeeded on a perception roll of that dang treasure room down underneath that church, could have been a cool, fun magical item we could have found from there. But guess what? We didn't succeed. We failed, so we have to move on. It's the name of the game. Now, before we pull on our encounter cards and roll to see if there's an encounter on our first little bit of travel, we're going to build out the scene here. First off, I think Willie and Paramon are going to introduce themselves to Petunia. I think the Khajiit Jeet seller themselves brings Petunia out of the cage, hooks her up to the cart, and we're loading up the cart with all of our stuff after we give him the gold. Like, he does that for us, right? So now Petunia is hooked up. And is it weird to me that I want Petunia to be like this aged, badass giant badger with like an eye patch and like a scar? You know what I mean? And like she has seen some battle. Like, she's been through it. I mean, a badger with an eye patch is kind of crazy to me, but that's just my imaginative brain kind of working. And I think I'm super down with it. So Petunia's gonna have an eye patch. Also talking about her, so let's pull her over here. Mostly all black fur, maybe a little bit of blue actually is what I'm thinking. Maybe like some blue under her chest and some blue, like a blue line on her head. So she's got like black and blue fur. And maybe her one good eye is like bright colored, bright yellow. And I think maybe her ear has like a little cut in it from the battle that she has seen. And I want to see how well our initial, because Petunia can't talk, obviously, right? She's a giant badger. We're not gonna go that far. Maybe with some magic. Wait, did I give Willie speak with animals? If I didn't, it's something we can get later. Abilities and spells. He does not have speak with animals, but it is something we can get later. He is an animism wizard, right? Which is supposed to be like druidic, I think, is what DragonBane designed it for, but animism also has lightning and thunder, and that's what I wanted, so that's what I went with. But that kind of gives us an advantage, which is good. So what is our initial reaction with her? So we actually have beast lore as a stat. I don't know if beast lore is what we're looking for. I'm kind of looking for like an animal handling kind of thing, so I want to double check. Oh, and if you guys don't want to do the supply check thing whenever you're playing, there is, you know, just lists of stuff that you can get. But what we can do is we can actually come in here and say, oh, do we have this item that we might need? We'll see it in the list and then we'll roll like medicine, you know, stuff. You could just straight up have animals, chicken, cow, put them on the cart. Put the cow on the cart. All right. Beast lore is the world is full of common and rare animals and beasts of all kinds. Roll for beast lore when trying to identify an animal, a monster, or know its habits, abilities, and weakness. Okay, so that's not animal handling. That's okay though. It might still be a good one to roll. See if Willie knows anything about these giant badgers. Maybe he knows something about this war that the giant badgers were in. Maybe there's some kind of race or species that was like riding the giant badgers into battle. Maybe Willie has read about it in a book, which would have been a cool roll to do actually before we bought the things. But that last episode, I was nervous. I don't know if you watched my update video. It was too long and I was like, oh no one wants to watch a long episode. So I cut it short, but that's okay. We're here today. So let's go on ahead and make us a beast lore roll. Our first lore roll of the game to see if Willie might know something about giant badgers. Yes. We still got our Willie the Wizard mini from Sword and Stone Hobbies. It's still hanging out here. Pull those down a little bit. All right, beast lore. We have to get under a 12 here. Willie got an 18. He's got no idea. He don't know nothing about badgers and no war or nothing. But I think he sees it, he clocks it, and he's like, well, this fucking badger's been through some shit. Maybe that's why we got a discount. We're able to spend 100 gold on all this crap. Maybe that's why. I think so. He doesn't clock it, but we're gonna do persuasion now. As he approaches, I think he's gonna hold out his hand and he's gonna say, why, hello, Petunia. My name's Willie the Wizard. We're gonna be the best of friends. I'm gonna take care of you real good. I'm gonna make sure you eat. You pull the card. We're gonna be a team. And we're gonna roll on persuasion, which is a 10. That is a 1. No way. No way. That's awesome. That means we got a dragon. That's exciting. Yes. Okay, so since we got a dragon, Petunia is a badass. I think at first she sees both of them approach and she is like growling her teeth a little bit. She's mad because she was just in a cage for so long. And as Willie approaches, she smells his hand and there's something about his smell that she just clocks. Maybe a previous owner, maybe a something going on. She smells on him and she stops with her teeth and she puts her head into Willie's hand and Willie pets her and he, coddles her a little bit and he's like, of course, everything's gonna be okay. I know you've been through some shit. And he pets her head and she probably like yawns a little bit, smacks her mouth just kind of to show content. And she looks up at him and her eye right in his eyes and they bond in this moment a little bit. And Willie's like, I would never let anything ever happen to you again, okay? And she nods a little bit, she understands. She rubs up in his hand. That's fantastic. I love that. That's just a good moment. That's fantastic. And then she turns to look at Paramon, I think. Let's roll to see Paramon approaches persuasion. What is his? He has really high persuasion. A 2. Okay, so it's not perfect, but she's also content with him as well. That's good. I know that that's success from Paramount. I think Paramount, he's a bard, so his persuasion's like 13 or something. So she is happy with us. That's good news. I was like, there might be a conflict here right away, but there's not. So they thank the Khajiit for everything. I want to Google it. He's gonna ask the Khajiit, like, what do badgers eat? You know, badgers are opportunistic omnivores with a highly varied diet. They're primarily known for eating earthworms, 80% of their food intake. They also consume small animals, mice, gophers, and rabbits, insects. They also eat small animals and prey. They use their strong claws to dig for grubs, larvae, and roots. In summer and autumn, they eat fruits, apples, pears, plums, so pretty much anything. They're opportunistic, sometimes scavenging for carrion, or in some cases, even raiding beehives. So, not really anything to worry about. Is they can just eat whatever the heck. What I will say though, it's so crazy. I keep looking at this card in my index card RPG self. I love index card RPG. Really wants to make an index card and write down her stats on the card and use them. Goodness. We might be doing ICRPG as our next full solo actual play campaign because I really want to do one. I haven't done a full one yet. Keep an eye out for that. And just the giant badger. Like I want to write all the things down, you know, like eye patch, you know, put the tags on there and everything. So we'll see. But we're just going to keep this handy dandy. We're going to have to get a mini for the giant badger. So that all being said, time to set the scene, shall we? It's our first adventure out into the wilderness. So I'm not going to say it's crazy raining or anything else like that. I want to say it's kind of a casual, neutral kind of weather happening today. But I also do want to think it's about high noon, right? Because they went and seen the people and talked to the stuff and everything else like that. So we're still in the same day right now. And they've got everything packed up on the carriage. And I think Paramount and Willie, we're going to cut forward a little bit to them leaving the town. And Petunia is pulling the cart with ease. She's huge. She's strong. She's got everything. She keeps looking back at Willie. I guess I just kind of mulled over that, but with the purchasing of her, did the Khajiit give us anything to feed her? Because I like to imagine that Willie has like a basket next to him, full of things that he's like throwing and she's like catching in her mouth as we're like riding. So let's see, did he give us anything with the money that we spent? That's a 3, which is a no. So he didn't provide us with any kind of food or anything. So maybe he ain't got a lot, but he's got like some extra little thing. He just throws her like something, you know, the last of something. And she keeps on pulling the cart. And we're going down this dirt path to the next town over. Did we learn the name of that town yet? I don't have it in my notes. I actually didn't print my notes yesterday because I was way too busy. I will have everything documented and printed before the 5th episode though. So just keep that in mind. I don't think we named the town. We also didn't think about how big the town is or anything else like that. Also, I should kind of retcon what I was asking questions about the dwarves, and you guys in the comments so kindly reminded me that Polgora is a town of 10,000 people. It is a lot. So it's actually wild that a horser gang is running that town. It's a lot of people. Maybe they're just, I don't know what to say about that. But it also means that there's way more than just dwarves there. So the leader of the Groggenritters and the bartender at that bar probably are related and have some kind of connection. It's not that it's full of dwarves, all right? It's not a dwarven town. There's 10,000 people, so that would be a stretch to say that it was. So that's my retcon there. But we don't exactly know. I guess what we're going to do is we're going to build out that town once we get there. But for this episode, we're going to use our encounter cards. Something is going to happen during travel. I'm going to make a executive decision to say that something is going to happen during travel because I want something to happen. At least this first day, right? Or maybe at night. We don't know yet. So we're going to pull out our encounter cards. The encounter deck from Downcrawl. So we draw a card from the encounter deck, kept logo side up. Turn it over to reveal encounter type. Fortune, location, challenge, or trouble. Place flat on the table. Let's do a little bit of shuffling before we start reading because we'll do as we play. I'm also using a new recording software, and this one, for some reason, actually has a higher resolution on my table camera than the other one did. I don't know why. Streamlabs OBS, I'm just slowly starting to learn, sucks. Regular OBS, it's not as intuitive, but it's just better. Anyway, so things on the table might look a little bit better, a little bit brighter. We'll see. Okay, let's clean us a space. And, just for fun, I kind of want to pull out a map too, just for fun. Ugh. The map library, yes. This thing is so fantastic. I'm just skimming through all these maps. There's so many. I just want like forest, location. Oh yes, there we go. Found one. All right, and shuffling has been done. Here we go. Draw a card from the encounter deck, kept logo side up. One right from the middle. Logo side up. There we are. And then we turn it over to reveal the encounter type. Fortune, location, challenge, or trouble. Place it flat on the table. This is a travel encounter location. So I'm reading through these a little bit more. I'm sure I'll cut the reading out. But it's a little tough because if 3 dangers. So if 3 dangers is actually a part of the actual downcrawl game, right? So that makes it a little bit difficult for us to just use these as our encounter oracle. At least this card here does itself. I think we might be able to give just the regular challenges a try, right? Just to see if that'll work. So we're actually going to just completely redraw, because in here it even says if you're at the given danger level, which then you follow the instructions in the book and you draw the cards, etc. But we can't do that because we aren't playing down, right? Let's play this a little bit more. So actually what we're going to do is we're going to shuffle again, and I'm just going to pull a card that is a regular location challenge, right? Whoops, like this one here, travel encounter challenge, right? And then we actually have these 3 lines down here. So opportunity, situation, and threat. First draw situation and choose one of the 4 options, sliding the card under this one. So we'll just take one right off the top. Ceiling lit, now we're outside. Mini dungeon filled with traps and pressure plates. Thousands of unbound pages litter the ground, fragments of an epic. A hunter stalking a fearsome predator, possibly imaginary. So 2 of those are actually kind of good. The pages being scattered everywhere is definitely intriguing for a wizard like Willie. But if we run into a hunter, that could be another MC, right? And we could do initial disposition and everything else like that. So let's go on ahead and do us a hunter. So a hunter, we slide it under here like this. Hunter stalking fearsome predator. Very good. Then we'll draw our opportunity, and we'll just do it right off the top. That makes sense. Fungus. So again, these are kind of themed towards their game. So let's go on ahead and put that one on the bottom. Opportunity, currency, common, rare, unusual, forgotten, buried gift, some kind of currency. And then again for our threat, a danger, worse than realized, here already and stalking innocent. Cool. So that kind of helps us with our scene a little bit. It's a lot of fun. A hunter stalking fearsome predator. There is an opportunity here for maybe like a chest or a hidden something, you know? And there is a danger. So the fearsome predator that he is stalking is worse than realized and is already stalking innocent. So there's some kind of monster. He's a hunter and some kind of monster. And we approach on our carriage. Probably loud. Willie's just singing, smoking his pipe, classic wizard style, leaning back as she's pulling the cart through everything. And then I think out from behind a tree, there's a hunter. Right away, my brain thinks Nigel Thornberry, but is that who that is? I don't know. First, I want to do our null dice to see what his initial reaction is towards us. You know what I mean? Whenever he approaches us, you know, is he friendly? Is he not friendly? Ooh, Mr. Moneybags over here. Look, we got 2 money bags. So we actually have our null dice thing. Let's pull it out. Without a bribe, this interaction will not happen. There has to be something in it for them. The creature will bribe the party. All right, and this is... Don't want it to be another dwarf. Give me something at 5. Wait, can we, Table Fables definitely has like the classic species and stuff, but I'm wondering if we can actually use the DragonBane, because Wolfkin, Elf, Mallard, these are all really cool. So let's make us a nice little roll chart here of the, there is one. D12, very good. Okay, D12 instead. Here's our roll chart. It is a 4. It's a human. Okay, let's just skip through this a little bit. Yes or no, is this someone that looks like Nigel Thornberry? 3, no. Okay, so it's not Nigel Thorne. As much as I wanted it to be. Is it a female hunter? That's a good question. 1, no, it's a male hunter. 7, an elderly male hunter who is 4, impolite. Okay, back to roll and play. Appearance. 14, they wear glasses with multiple zoomable lenses. That's cool. So they out here hunting for something. They're a hunter. We already know that. So they've got a bow and arrow, probably dressed in leathers. They're a little bit older. They're a human. Older, so Willie's age, obviously. Big old glasses. If they've got them glasses, then they're probably hunting something strange, something out of this world. Maybe it's not even the creature that they're hunting. Maybe a creature is stopping him from getting to something. Because we have opportunity of currents, maybe it's like a treasure chest and a creature block. And he will make a bribe to us. He wants money. I think we've almost got enough. All we need is what is the creature. So we've got our inhabitants, D20 right here. Here we go. 5, orcs. Danger worse than expected as an orc. If we're looking at orcs, how tough are they? 12 HP, studded leather. I have a little bit of a scene here building in my head, but I want to ask one more question. Is it more than 1 orc? I'm gonna call it unlikely because of my scene building. Okay, that's a 2. Or, sorry. Yeah, that's a 2. So no, it's not more than 1. It's only 1 orc. So is it a warrior, a shaman, or a chieftain? It's a 4. Roll again. That's a 1. So it's a warrior orc. We've got it right here. Bing bang. You see how we're building out this scene here? Figuring out what the heck's going on. We're building out the environment, the NPCs, and the dangers, right? That's what we're doing. In my previous video, I talked a little bit about how I do this. I didn't even realize that I did this. Even still, I'm not even following that list that I made in that video. I'm just like, I'm just doing it. It's crazy. Okay, we're gonna keep out our orc here. Lastly, we need a name for this guy. I'm gonna roll a d20. Not the orc for the other guy. 8. Oliver. Do we even like Oliver? What a twist would it be if Oliver's the bad guy in this situation? I don't know. We're approaching like this. I'm gonna say there's an orc in a treasure box over here, and I'm gonna say Oliver comes out from this corner here to talk to us, right? This is our map. And he's like, "Oi, chaps, come over here. Look," with his little binocular thing. Gets real close up to Willie. "It's a mighty fine creature that you've got here, this giant badger." And as she like walks up close, I think Petunia growls at him, and Willie's like, "Oi, don't you be fucking with my badger, okay? What do you want?" And he's like, "Look, over there, if you can see, there's an orc. And that orc over there, my good fine chap, he is guarding a chest. Look, if you help me kill the guy and get into the chest, I'll give you half of everything that's in there. All right? Little bit of a bribe, I say." And he's like, does Willie think this guy is telling the truth? What I actually want to do is I want to make an awareness check on this guy, because I wonder if he's real skeevy, you know? What's going on? We're going to make an awareness check. That is a 6. So we've got him pretty well clocked. We know if he's hiding something. So the next question is this man hiding something? I'm going to roll us a 6. 4. Yes, he is hiding something. So Willie's like, "Look here, asshole. I know that you're hiding something. Go on ahead and tell me the full story." And then I think Paramon might say, "Yeah, I've heard tales of orcs and tales of hunters like you. I know all about your kind. Tell us the full story." And then I think Paramon is going to make a persuasion roll. Paramon's persuasion is 11. That is a 3. So, for the first time, I say we roll on the inspiration table, included with the solo rules, which we haven't ever done because we've just been using our downcrawl cards. But I think I want to try something different today. So we're going to roll on this here. D20, inspiration table. What is this man hiding? We've got scavenge mighty person. Let's take one from each. 20. So, we've got violent and person. So he's hiding, maybe he's just extremely violent. My goodness, extremely violent. Does the script flip whenever we persuade him? Does it go, "All right, chaps, I guess you're right. I want all your shit." And he pulls out his bow, I think. Is that what happened? Oh, extreme. I'm gonna call it extremely likely. The tables have turned on our story. Dang, that's a 1 and a 2. So, no, that's not what happens. Okay, fine. Although that's really good storytelling, that's not what happens. And that's fine. That's fine. It was a stretch. See, whenever things are big stretches for the story, that's when I roll, okay? So, he is still a violent person, I guess. Maybe he goes, "Well, to tell you the truth, I really just want to kill that asshole. You can take on whatever's in that chest, but I don't like that guy. Yeah, I've been tracking him for a while, and I don't like him. So, we're going to take him down. You want to help me? Take whatever's in there." Can orcs be friendly in this game, is my question. Are orcs a playable race? That might answer my question. No, they're not a playable race. Man, but how cool would it be to befriend an orc? What can we do here before we make our final move? We don't trust this guy, but there might be a magical weapon in that there chest over there. Orcs are not usually friendly, so it would be even more of a stretch to say, maybe we save the orc and we can recruit him to the party. Chances are, if Willie tries to go over there and talk to him, the guy's just gonna attack, you know? We could set up around him, get our weapons ready. We could be like super ready to attack, and then we could just send Paramon over there to ask to interrogate him. And we could just roll to see if he even responds or he just attacks right away. You know what I mean? So maybe we back up the cart, we park it here. Petunia's not gonna fight today, not until we set up her sheet all the way. And Willie's gonna move over here, and he's gonna talk to Paramon. He's gonna say, "Hi, I don't really trust this asshole. You're being a little aside over here. You wanna go over there, see if that orc is willing to talk. If not, I'll be ready, and we'll fire off on his ass, okay?" I think Paramon's like, "Okay, look, man, I'm trusting you." All right. I think he's going to take a step forward, and before he even goes anywhere else, I want to make an awareness check for him, because this also here could be a trap with more orcs. Oops, in the box, please. Thank you. What is that? What is that? That's an 18. So you don't see anything else. No, we're supposed to make a spot hidden roll for that, actually. Well, I think awareness works as well. I think spot hidden is more for like, you know, looking. Okay, so then here's our next question. I'll call it unlikely because I feel like this guy is like protecting this chest while he's waiting for his group. You know what I mean? That's what is happening in my head. It's a 4 and a 5. So something else is happening. Is it a trap? 4, that's a yes. Okay, so it's not an ambush, it's a trap. So as he steps forward, he failed his awareness check, which the trap also means that this guy isn't nice. I mean, like right off the bat. So we have a D20 roll chart on traps for DragonBane. And then roll that, that's 4. Collapsing trapdoor. Oh, dang. Oh, dang. Okay, he's going to make an acrobatics check to see if he cannot fall into this trapdoor right now. Oops, in the box, please. That is a 7. Thank God. So this trap underneath his feet, and I think he jumps forward. And as he jumps forward, I think the orc now sees him and sees us and sees what's going on. So we're going to pull our initiative card. That was a lot of scene setup. I hope you guys are cool with that. Sometimes it's fun to just completely flesh everything out, you know? Sometimes it's fun. Okay, yeah, Paramon's closer, so first we'll do Paramon. He's on the 10, nice. And then we've got the orc down here. He's on the 5. Willie is on the 2. What the hell was his name? The hunter? I already forgot. Oliver, he's on the 8. All right, Paramon, he's gonna jump over the pit trap, run towards the orc with his knife out. He's gonna say, "Why? I was trying to help you." And then he's gonna try to just hit him with his knife. He's gotta get under 11. That's an 8, which is a hit. That's fantastic. Roll over here in Foundry so I can remember what the damage is for it. Okay, good deal. So our boy Paramon hits, which is good. So here's the question. Do we think this guy's going to use his action to dodge? I mean, he sees there's 3 of us, right? So maybe he'll dodge and just try to run away next turn, because that is absolutely possible. So before we even roll for our damage, let's see. Is he going to try to dodge? Let's roll a d6. 3. That's a no. Okay. So he doesn't try to dodge. So he's still going to want to attack. That's totally fine. So that means our boy Paramon gets a d8 and a d4 of damage. Let's roll that. We got a 6. That's a 7. Fantastic. I believe the orc has 12 HP. Goodness. So the hunter's gonna go next. It might not even survive 1 round. Okay, the hunter is next. Let's get up some bow damage here. I don't have a stat for this. You can say it's a longbow. It uses a d12. I'm gonna assume that he's trained in his skill, his longbow skill, so he probably has a 12. So he's going to stay right there, and he's gonna, well, I guess Paramon's kind of in the way. 3, 6, 9. We'll go about there. Let's roll it. That is a 19, so he just completely misses. Okay, which uses up his whole action. He moved and did his action. Wow, okay. I thought these were mountains. These are actually, this is like swamp act right here. So Willie's gonna move over here. I think just a little bit of movement from him, and then he's going to cast, obviously, lightning flash down from Charles's skull. Just like, yeah, he's like, stupid orc, you make me look bad. Right, so he's got a 13 in animism now, which is wonderful. So we just gotta see if we can successfully cast this spell. We're gonna spend our 2 willpower to do it. Well, that's not fun. That is a 20, which means it's a dragon, which, okay, first we're gonna mark that down, that we got that failure on animism. Okay, so magical mishap. We've got a d20 roll chart. We've done a magical mishap on Charles. Charles is fighting back. Charles doesn't want to kill this orc. That's what happens. Why, though? I don't know. That's not even actually Willie's turn, though, is it? Because he got the 2. So this is good that this happened. Stops him from doing anything. That's an 8. Charles fights back, and we lose extra willpower. We lose a d6 of willpower. In Willie's mind, he's like, "No, you fool. What are you doing?" And just zaps him of his willpower. We lose 4 extra willpower. 3, 4. Okay, goodness. Willie's like, ah! Shit. All right, this guy for sure is going to run away. I mean, he's going to use his dash movement, and he's going to bail. There's 3 people attacking him. He's got this little chest, but he's an orc. And like Morkborg or something, we would roll morale to see if he would stay. Like, screw this, I've got it. But he's already taken damage. He's at half HP, and there's 3 people trying to fight him over this chest right. So he's literally going to try to run away. He's going to use all of his movement just about. And now that he does that, he's going to be far off in the distance. But we have Hunter. And Hunter, Oliver, the hunter, wants to kill, if you remember, right? So we're going to roll initiative cards just for these 2, and we're going to see if, but you can't even see him way down there on the edge. We're going to see if he gets to attack first or he gets to run first. That's basically all we're doing. So for Oliver, we got a 9. Oh, and that's a 1. So he's going to attack first with his longbow. We're assuming again he's got a 12 in this longbow. That's a 16. He misses again. So he really wants to kill, but he sucks at it. So he misses, and the orc gets away. And we're going to meet back up here in the center. And since Oliver wants to fight, he doesn't even care about this chest. In my mind, Oliver's going to say, "Well, chap's fucking great. Thanks for nothing. Look, take your chest. I don't care. I'm going to go kill that guy." And then I think he's just going to leave. I mean, like, that's the whole interaction. So now we're sitting here in front of this chest. And Willie's like, "Well, that was pretty strange, wasn't it? Weird shit happens out here in the forest. I mean, this is my first time out here. I really didn't think that, this is crazy." Paramon's like, "Yeah, definitely gonna have to write a song about Oliver the Hunter, who's really just wants to kill something, but hasn't, is my assumption. Because, man, he sucked at shooting his bow." I sneezed. Like, "Yeah, he really does, doesn't he? Well, maybe there's something cool in his chest, huh? Also, what the hell, Charles? Why didn't you want to kill the orc for?" And he's like, "You fool. Orcs are cool. He could have been a grand ally. But you sided with Oliver." Idiot. Shut the fuck up, Charles. You don't know nothing about orcs, do ya? So that moves us onto this chest here. And this guy was so eager to run away from it. Like, he didn't care. Maybe he trapped it. So as both of us approach, let's both roll awareness rolls. Black is for Paramon. Well, Willie completely fails his awareness roll. You got a dragon on it, and Paramon doesn't see anything either. So let's mark that down. So here's my next question. Is there a trap on this chest? That is a 1, which I believe is an extreme no. Let's double check. Yeah, it's an extreme no. So not only is there not a trap on it, I think it it flings open whenever we approach. Like, the orc was leaning on it, holding it down or something. So now here's the question. What chart do we roll on to see what is on the inside? It is obviously a treasure chest, right? So we have a treasure roll. We also have treasure armor, treasure book, treasure clothing, treasure melee, all kinds of stuff. So how many charts are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect. So we're going to roll a d10 to see what treasure chart to roll on. Love that. Very good, very good. Here we go. That is a 3. 1, 2, 3. Treasure book. Can it be a grimoire? We're going to roll on this. And if I get a 6, it's going to be a grimoire instead, because Willie needs him a grimoire. Yes. Or instead, let's roll, see if it is a book of treasure or a magical book that can be used, right? Why the heck would an orc be guarding a book? There has to be more in there as well. We'll do on the normal treasure. What is that? That's a 1? Nope, extreme no. It is not a magical book. All right, what book is it? 4. It is the Handbook of the Master Carpenter. You can get a boon on skill rolls in a specific subject. The cost varies depending on the subject. So this boon will give us carpentry boons, I guess, since we have a carpentry book. Let's open up our character sheet. See if we can just drag and drop it. I think Willie's going to be like, hey, this ain't magic. You want it, Paramon? And just throw it at him. He's like, oh, yeah, I mean, sure. Carpentry book. Turns out Paramon's Jesus. It's funny. All right, let's do the normal treasure chest here. Normal treasure is a D40. What the heck? Well, I don't want to do math right, so let's just roll on it here and found. Ooh, it said treasure instrument. Oh, wait a sec. Treasure instrument. It is a harp. Oh, is it a magical harp? Let's roll yes or no. Is it a magical harp? 2. No. Dang it. So it's just a harp. And it's like, well, more shit for you there, Paramon. A book and a harp. Good for you. All right, and that ends that scene. We've got our loot. We did the things. Items in this are just interesting to me. It's the one thing that, I'm just upset with DragonBane about. You know, like, there's so much more we could be doing. Crazy. All right. Here we go. We flip our map just for a little bit of change of scenery here. Ooh, there's a cart here. Cool. There's a cart on the map. I like that. Do I have a badger mini? No, but I do have this cool rat mini. I also got from Sword and Stone Hobby. It's pretty neat, and it's good enough. There we go. So we spent all day traveling. We encountered Oliver and an orc in the forest. Completely irrelevant to our story, but fun little world building. We know for a fact that something is happening with orcs in this area, and Oliver is probably a part of some kind of hunter's guild, is what I'm imagining, that he needs to prove himself by killing some. That's right what I'm thinking. Because he failed those roles and he's kind of not a good hunter, the fact he was like, I just need to kill something. That makes sense to me, right? He's an elder guy who probably used to be some kind of scientist because of his goggles and some kind of, forest gatherer or something. And he's trying to join the Hunters Guild. And so he's out there. We may encounter Oliver again later, right? We're closer to the next town. And we already know that the truthful Pegasus is in the next town. So maybe there's also like a Hunters Guild. Maybe Oliver is in the truthful Pegasus. Maybe. We don't know, right? Some kind of rebellion guild. Maybe he needs to prove himself by taking out some orcs or something, right? Could be. All questions for the future. Potential open threads that I'm going to put into my notes before the next episode. Very good. At this point now, though, dang, we built out the crap of that last scene. Yeah, we did. I'm thinking about how much time we might have left in this episode, because I do want to do at least one more scene. We did the opener, did the middle scene. I want to do one more scene. So there's an obvious expected scene that's going to happen here. Expected scene, right, is what we call it. Basically, we're going to camp, and then we'll arrive in the town in the morning, right? That's the expected bit. But what I want to see is the next scene expected or no, right? Do we encounter anything else as we're traveling through this forest? Because there's some other fun things that we could encounter here. So let's see, expected or no, right? Do we want it to be inspected? Because we could fudge the dice and give us advantage. I'm also wondering, I straight up didn't even check. I was so excited to use the encounter card. Does DragonBane have travel encounters? Or is it all dungeon? I think I remember it being all dungeon. No, but it looks like the solo stuff doesn't have anything, but the adventure book has journey encounters, but I think they're a part of the adventure in the adventure book. But we could totally still use it. I'm now slightly remembering something to do with journeying. We did it in the first episode. Was there some kind of rule to journeying in DragonBane? It's been a couple weeks, right? So I'm trying to remember I was so busy last week, I didn't have the book open in front of me. Usually I like study and like read through a book while I'm playing it, you know, just to like stay refreshed. And last week I didn't, and I'm regretting it now. I want to check real quick. Okay, yeah, so journeys or travel is in 3 shifts, right? Morning, evening, night. We already left in the evening, so we have 2 shifts, so we're already doing the right thing. But it also says that journey should be guided by some kind of pathfinder. There should be someone who is leading the way to the next town. So I think us together should be making some kind of a bushcraft roll just to make sure that we're headed the right way. So we're gonna do that before we stop and figure out the next thing. So old Willer has a 12 in bushcraft. I think we're both kind of navigating, you know. I think that Paramon knows the way, so we'll probably give him a boon on it. But let's just see if Willie doesn't need the help. What is that? That is a 1. That's a 1 again? Holy goodness. Willie got 2 critical successes this episode. Good for you, bud. My goodness. So not only does he know the way. So I'm going to say not only does he know the way, but he's also going to see something, and we're going to encounter it if we want to. He's going to like see it. If we go to our DragonBane adventures, we have our journeys roll chart. Ooh, and there's a couple of them actually. There's one in the forest, and each one of these is actually with the adventure, but maybe we can get a little bit of, you know, something going on here. Maybe we'll do the first one because it's like the lower level ones. That makes sense to me. All right, it's a D12. What does Willie also see? 11. Dead cultists. 3 dead humans are hanging from a tree by the roadside, all wearing, I'm gonna say, red robes from the Order of the Goblet, the Empty Goblet. A closer look reveals sword wounds on their body. They bear the mark of Slathmog on their forearm. I'm gonna say they bear the mark of gluttony on their forearms. It also said the player characters notice they actively look there or succeed with a spot hidden roll. These poor souls are cultists slain by an Eladian knight as a warning. We're gonna say that they were slain by the leader of the Truthful Pegasus, and they were hung up there as a warning, because we're hoping the Truthful Pegasus people are going to be really good people, and they're going to not only help us find Paramon's lover, but they might also help us with the next page, right? And so I think these are cultists that escaped from Polgora during everything that happened and ran over to this town, and the Truthful Pegasus got a hold of them and killed them and hung them up, like, do not come into our town. And so that's kind of what they see. And as they're passing by, I think Willie's like, oh shit, well, hey, we're in good company, aren't we? These look like good old dang old people, don't they, Paramon? He's like, yeah, well, that's a good sign, I think. That's a good omen, Willie. That's good. He's like, righteous. Okay, that's good. So as we're pushing forward, we're almost going to make it to the next town, but I think we're not going to make it all the way. Because Willie did so good on his bushcraft roll, I'm also going to say that he finds a place for us to camp for the night. So in DragonBane, it requires you to find a safe place, right? Like, you have to make a bushcraft, you have to find a good place, just like we did in the first episode. So we find a nice, good little place. And I'm wondering if we want descriptors to set up the scene. I don't know if we do. We haven't used our downcrawl cards this episode. Boop, boop. Oh, cool. A beautified oasis. That is our place that we find here to set up our camp. Wow, thanks. Beautified oasis. Yeah, we love that. So we pull over to the side. So it's probably like in between all these trees of the forest, he sees like a little gap in the trees, and we step into it, and there's just this nice, perfect opening that is just lines of trees to keep us hidden from anything. And maybe in the middle, there's like a nice little koi pond. It's like a oasis, right? So I'm going to assume that there's more to it. And I think Petunia right away like walks over to the koi pond and starts drinking out of it. Maybe starts like batting at all the koi fish down in the water, you know, thinking about trying to get one of them to eat. And Willie's like, well, looks like fucking Petunia's got some dinner. Well, what about me and you there, Paramon? Let's set up camp. And so to check and see that we have everything that we need to set up a camp, because we might have forgotten some stuff, you never know, we're going to make our first supply check. Now, as I said previously, our supply is at 14. So all we got to do is roll under 14 to make sure that we have everything to be able to set up our camp. That's an 18. We forgot something. What did we forget? What that is actually going to do is you roll bushcraft again to set up your camp, you know, set up your tents, make a little fire, everything else like that. One of these two guys is going to get a Bane on his bushcraft roll to set up his little bed in his little tent, and we'll see who does what. So we'll call it a Bane for Willie because he's kind of the forgetful one, right? That's a 13. I think Willie's bushcraft is 12. So it is indeed Willie. Maybe he forgot to get himself a bedroll, is what we'll say. So he sets up his tent, and then he goes, oh shit, I forgot to get a bedroll. Paramon, God. And he's like, well, you could sleep in the cart if you want. And he's like, no, it's fine. I'll stay awake. And this is actually going to stop Willie from fully recovering all of his willpower from the day before. So we're actually going to stay at that 6 willpower instead of getting it all back. We didn't take any damage, but that is that. Now the rest of the camp will be done by Paramon. on without a boon. That's a 1, which is a critical success. So he sets up a beautiful fire, sets up his tent all nice. He's got pots and pans, cooking himself some food. You know what I mean? You look at Willie's and it's all like falling apart. The tent falls over, and then we look over at Paramon's and it's like perfect and set up. And Willie's just sitting on a rock with his little pipe out, and he's like, God damn, this fucking sack. And Paramon's like, let me help you, man. I think with a critical success like that, Paramon also comes over and helps Willie set his up, and they gather on the fire. And I think at this point also, Petunia's like eating koi out of this koi pond. I don't know why I said koi pond, but that's what we're going to call it. And Paramon's going to pull out his little harp and he's going to sing a song about their adventure so far. Something kind of fun. Maybe I'll see if I can actually put together maybe some kind of a poem or some lyrics or something at the beginning of the next episode that Paramon has put together for everything that's happened so far, and I'll read it or something to you guys. And we'll say that that's what he performs here at night whenever they're setting up their camp. And they're sitting around and Willie's like, well, tomorrow we're going to make it to that next town. Hopefully we can find your old lady, Paramon, and hopefully we can get a lead on the next page, because they're scattered all over this world. We've got one. We've got a few more to go. We got to save the world. Me, you, and Petunia. It's going to be good. He said, well, I'm just excited to be out here adventuring, man. And I think we're taking good steps, you know. I'm really curious about all of it. That was a strange one. He pulls out his book of carpentry and starts reading it. And reading about building stuff. Maybe that's why he did so good at setting up camp. That actually kind of makes sense. Because of the book, I'm supposed to give him a boon on rolls like that. So, yeah. I didn't, but whatever. And that's where we're going to end it for the night, I think. Whenever we come back next time, we're going to go into the city, and if we're going to reroll up this town, we're going to learn about this faction, see what they got going on. They're probably going to send us on a quest. We'll see how that goes. You know, maybe we'll do us a nice, real long episode for episode 5, right? So I can get a lot more out of that episode, just in case that's where we decide to leave things. Yes, if you guys have any ideas about anything that happened this year episode, please let me know down in comments below. There wasn't any real questions, right? But I would like to know your guys' opinions on story things that happened and everything else like that. What do you think? Oh, maybe what we could do is we could take some suggestions from you guys for the next town coming up, right? So if you have name suggestions for the town, maybe how they're based, maybe anything else going on with the town, right? Is it a big town? Is there a kingdom going on here? Is it all town of factions? Is there a hunting faction? I don't know. And then what I'll do is I'll take all your comments, we'll put them on a roll chart, we'll roll some things up, it'll be sick, right? Or we'll just pick and choose. So leave some comments about the town. That'll be fun. And I think other than that, my friends, that's where we're going to leave today's episode. Remember, if you want to pick any of this stuff up, use the links, leave your comments below. Thank you so much for the support so far. We've got more fun ideas and more fun actual plays coming up in the future. Yes, I might do a little bit of a poll on what I do an actual play on next, but it's going to be ICRPG or Sundered Isles or Vaesen, so keep an eye out for that. I appreciate all you guys so much for all your support. For now, take a seat on the couch. Roll initiative. At least until you run into a random hunter and have to take out an orc yourself. Roll on that, weirdos, and I'll see all of you guys next time. Toodaloo. Yes. Slow spin.
Subscribe, just like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe, just like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe, like, share, like, share, like, share.